The introduction to the world of drug lords sets the stage for understanding how individuals rise to power and dominate illicit drug networks. A drug lord is typically a person with significant control over large-scale drug trafficking operations, often exerting influence over vast syndicates that manage production, distribution, and sale of illegal substances. This concept is central to understanding the transition individuals make from being members of small, often localized gangs to becoming influential kingpins, orchestrating sophisticated and expansive criminal empires. The significance of this point lies in its foundational role in comprehending the entire narrative of the rise and fall of notorious drug lords. By exploring how these individuals begin their journey, we can better grasp the social, economic, and political factors that contribute to their ascent. The journey from gang member to kingpin often involves navigating a treacherous underworld filled with strategic alliances, vicious competition, and the constant threat of law enforcement. Understanding this progression is crucial for examining how these figures accumulate power, wealth, and ultimately how they meet their demise. Take, for example, the infamous Pablo Escobar from Colombia, who started as a street criminal before climbing the ranks to lead the Medellin cartel. His strategic acumen and willingness to exploit political and social instability allowed him to gain unprecedented power, making him one of history's most notorious drug lords. Similarly, Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán built the Sinaloa cartel by leveraging corruption and brutal force, rising through the ranks of the drug trade from modest beginnings in rural Mexico. Opinions on the rise of drug lords often highlight systemic issues such as poverty, corruption, and ineffective law enforcement, suggesting these factors provide fertile ground for the growth of organized crime. Critics might argue that focusing solely on the individuals obscures deeper socio-economic problems that perpetuate drug trafficking. Challenges arise when considering the glamorization of drug lords in media, which can create controversial narratives around their criminal activities. While some view their stories as cautionary tales, others argue that glorification of these figures may inadvertently inspire emulation. This point on drug lords' origins connects to broader themes such as international drug policy, law enforcement strategies, and socioeconomic reforms. Understanding how individuals become kingpins helps elucidate their impact on global drug markets and the often devastating consequences for societies entangled in their operations. Through this lens, we see how pivotal their rise is to the wider discourse on reducing drug-related harm and disrupting criminal networks. The historical background and origin of gangs is a complex tapestry woven from social, economic, and political threads, indicative of societal struggles and adaptations. At its core, a gang is a group of individuals who associate for mutual interests and engage, often, in illegal activities. These groups can be traced back to tribal and family dynamics, where loyalty to one's group was paramount for survival and power acquisition. The significance of understanding the historical backdrop of gangs is vital when examining the trajectory from street gangs to powerful drug lords. This transformation is not only about the individual leaders, but also reflects systemic issues, such as economic deprivation, social marginalization, and legal inefficacy that allowed these entities to flourish. To illustrate, consider the Sicilian Mafia, which emerged in the mid-19th century during a time of political instability and economic hardship. Initially formed to protect landowners, it expanded its influence through the illicit trade and exploitation of weak governance. Similarly, the emergence of the Crips in 1960s Los Angeles was a response to racial discrimination and socioeconomic inequality. What started as a form of protection quickly transitioned into criminal activities, including drug trafficking, as a means to gain power and financial success. Supporters of understanding gangs in this context argue that societal neglect fosters the conditions for gangs to thrive. This perspective suggests that addressing underlying social issues could mitigate gang-related crime. Critics, however, caution that this view may oversimplify the problem, failing to hold individuals accountable for their illegal activities. Challenges surrounding this topic include the romanticization of gang culture, perpetuated through media, which can obscure the detrimental effects gangs have on communities. Additionally, political and law enforcement responses sometimes exacerbate the issue, as aggressive tactics may stigmatize entire communities rather than target the root causes or key individuals of criminal networks. The origin and evolution of gangs is not an isolated narrative. It is interconnected with the broader spectrum of the drug trade. As gangs grew in power, they increasingly became involved with drug trafficking, eventually giving birth to drug lords who command substantial influence globally. Understanding this development illustrates the transition from localized gang operations to expansive criminal enterprises, highlighting the crucial role historical and socio-economic factors play in shaping the landscape of organized crime. This context is essential for framing discussions on the rise and fall of infamous drug lords, spotlighting the intricate journey from grassroots gangs to global kingpins, and informing strategies for intervention and prevention. The transition from street gangs to organized crime networks is a pivotal development in the evolution of drug cartels, marking a shift from loosely structured groups engaging in localized crime to complex, hierarchical organizations with expansive influence. This transformation is characterized by street gangs, often marked by their territorial disputes and short-term goals, evolving into sophisticated networks with strategic, long-term objectives, diversified criminal activities, and international ties. Understanding this transition is crucial in exploring the rise and fall of infamous drug lords, as it lays the foundation for how these individuals rose to power. These networks not only expand their influence, but also increase their power, making drug lords like Pablo Escobar and Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán household names. These individuals managed to shift from regional operations to controlling global drug trafficking empires, demonstrating adeptness in organization distribution and violent enforcement. A precise example is the Medellin cartel in Colombia, initially rooted in local gang activities, but eventually transforming into a powerful global syndicate under Escobar's leadership. Similarly, the Sinaloa cartel, once a collection of farmers and dealers, became one of the most influential drug trafficking organizations worldwide under the leadership of El Chapo, leveraging strategic alliances and sophisticated smuggling routes. Experts highlight that this evolution from gangs to organized networks allows for more efficient operations, increased profits, and reduced vulnerability to law enforcement actions due to their intricate hierarchies and diversified illicit ventures. Yet, this transition is fraught with challenges. Law enforcement agencies face significant obstacles in dismantling these organizations, as traditional policing tactics against street gangs often prove ineffective against sophisticated networks with international reach. Moreover, there is controversy around whether efforts to dismantle these networks inadvertently strengthen them, as power vacuums can lead to increased violence and the formation of splinter groups. This transition influences other aspects of the rise and fall of drug lords by illustrating their ability to adapt to law enforcement tactics, exploit global markets, and embed themselves into legal economies. It plays a crucial role in understanding how these figures maintain control over such vast operations and manage to elude justice for extended periods. Ultimately, examining this transformation sheds light on the core mechanisms that enable drug lords to ascend to power and the systemic challenges in combating against organized crime on a global scale. Profiles of notorious drug lords and their empires delve deeply into the life stories and criminal enterprises of individuals who have reached the zenith of power in the illicit drug trade. Essentially, this segment of the narrative focuses on the backgrounds, rise to power, operations, and eventual downfall of these figures, whose actions have left indelible marks on society. These drug lords did not merely sell drugs. They established complex organizations that controlled vast territories and wielded significant influence both locally and globally. Understanding the profiles of these infamous individuals is crucial to comprehending the broader story of drug trafficking, as each narrative offers unique insights into the methods and mechanisms through which illicit empires are built and sustained. It highlights the socio-political, economic, and personal factors that facilitate such nefarious success. Additionally, these stories can illuminate the cycle of violence, corruption, and exploitation intertwined with the drug trade, offering lessons on prevention and control. Two prominent examples illustrate this point: Pablo Escobar and Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. Pablo Escobar, head of the Medellin cartel, became notorious for his role in the global cocaine trade, amassing immense wealth and power while instigating widespread violence in Colombia. His empire was synonymous with extreme violence and remarkable influence, showcasing the potential reach of cartel leaders. Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, the head of the Sinaloa cartel, perpetuated a similarly vast drug operation with considerable global impact. His capture, escape, and eventual recapture reflect on the cat-and-mouse dynamic between drug cartels and law enforcement. Opinions abound regarding the allure and fascination surrounding these figures. Some argue that the mythologizing of drug lords glamorizes their lifestyle, potentially influencing young, impressionable minds. Others believe that these stories are cautionary tales about the fleeting nature of power attained through crime. Challenges arise in portraying these profiles accurately. Media and cultural narratives often romanticize these figures, glossing over the devastating impact of their actions. Moreover, focusing too much on the personalities can detract from the systemic issues that enable drug empires to flourish, such as poverty, demand for drugs, and political corruption. These profiles are integral to the broader discussion of from gangs to kingpins, as they exemplify the transformation of street-level gangs into global criminal enterprises. They highlight the intersection of power, wealth, and violence, and their stories underscore the complexities confronting those who seek to dismantle such organizations, providing a crucial link to understanding the rise and fall of infamous drug lords.